Trayvon Martin incident in Florida, I've been thinking about the laws that affect what we do in the use of deadly force, and what our responsibilities are as armed citizens. I gotta say that the implementation of stand your ground laws is a game changer. I happen to strongly believe that stand your ground is appropriate law. It should be everywhere. And I have some thinking on why people resist that. And I'll talk about that more in this video. But I will differentiate between stand your ground, castle doctrine, and then the opposite of stand your ground are the laws that say before you use deadly force of any type, you have a duty to retreat, which I think is bullshit. So stay tuned. There are 23 states, that's almost half of the country, that have now passed stand your ground law that says if you are faced with the threat of serious bodily injury or death, you do not have to retreat from that force before using deadly force to stop that threat. So the bad result is on the bad guy. But the rules for the use of deadly force don't change. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't create new rules for the use of deadly force. It says you don't have to run from the threat to stop the threat. Now that's a big deal. And it's important because there are people in the world who are bullies. They like to intimidate others. They like to put hands on people because they think it's okay to do. They like to run in numbers greater than one as an intimidation factor. But and these types of people, you know who they are. There's some around you. Maybe you have a propensity to be a dickhead and want to puff up and want to go hurt somebody. Well, in these 22 states, you're going to take a dirt nap. So let me review the rules for the use of deadly force, and specifically as it relates to the use of a firearm. It relates to anything, but in this case we'll talk about firearms. There are 3 components, and if you have been trained in a concealed carry course or have read some of the material that's out there, and there's plenty of it, then you'll be familiar with these 3 components. Each of these 3 must be present at the same time. It's not one or the other. So the first is called ability. That is, the person who is posing the threat, or the people who are posing the threat, must clearly have the ability to inflict great bodily harm or injury or death on you. So it must be clear that the ability is there. The second is the opportunity to use that ability on you. That is, they are in the same place as you are, and they are making threats for the use of that force against you. But the third is called jeopardy, or is that threat imminent? Imminent means it's right there. And that's important. So I'll give you the example. And I use this a lot. So there's a guy across the street, and he has a katana, right? And he's threatening to cut your head off. And he's across the street, he's behind a car, you know, he's walking back and forth, acting all crazy, and he's pointing to you, and I'm going to cut your head off, and using all the fun language. So, does he have the ability to cut your head off? Yes. Does he have the opportunity at that moment to cut your head off? Yeah, because he could change the situation. But is the threat imminent? The answer is no, because as long as he keeps his sorry ass on the outside of the street, he could yell and scream, wave a katana, that's all he wants, and you cannot shoot him. If he even pulls out a gun and is threatening you, you cannot shoot. If he points the gun, you can now shoot. So you see how the ability, opportunity, and jeopardy or imminence work together. They all have to be together, or you have no justification for the use of deadly force at all. That's important to understand as we talk about stand your ground at this point. Now, let's take another example. There are 3, 4 males, fairly large. They're not children. They're 5 feet something or other, and they're fairly robust looking people. And now there are blocking your path. They don't appear to have any weapons in their hands, but they make it clear that they're going to jump you and hurt you if you don't do what they say, or they're trying to herd you in a particular direction for that purpose, or they're closing on you from across the street. Now, I need to make this very clear. The threat does not have to have a weapon in their hand in order to meet the ability, opportunity, jeopardy, imminence definition of threat. Because there is this additional piece called disparity of force. Disparity of force is large against small, male against female, many against one kind of thing. Young against old. So this thing, well, he wasn't armed. Yeah, he had a disparity of force against the person that they were trying to attack or threaten to attack. But AOJ must still be there. So can you use deadly force? And you don't know the age of people. All you know is their size and quantity. So does 3 or 4 young males have the ability to inflict serious bodily injury or death on you? Yes. If they are across the street, just mouthing off, do they have the opportunity? Yes, because they could change the situation. Is the threat imminent? Is the threat imminent? No, because they're across the street. It's the same as the guy with the katana, right? Now, if they start running toward you, if they even close on you and start to get to where you are getting surrounded, right? Understand your ground. You do not have to run from them because they are a threat. It's their problem that they are the threat. You get to stop the threat under the rules of ability, opportunity, jeopardy, or imminence, right? Their mistake, even though you can't see any weapons in their hands, is that there is more of them than you. There is a disparity of force that constitutes the threat, and you can stop the threat. If you have a firearm, you can, which I would recommend, you can stop the threat by shooting as many as you can until they stop coming to you. Now, the question would be, well, you didn't have to shoot them. Yeah, you did. So that's another example of stand your ground. The responsibility for leaving the planet is on the people or person who poses the threat. It's their problem, not yours. Well, they were just kids. Then you should have taught your kids better, because now you don't have your kids anymore. But stand your ground is a vigilante law. It allows you to take the law into your own hands. That is just not true. It is just not true on its face, and it's just not true under the law. Why? Because a vigilante does things to take justice, to mete out justice themselves. Stand your ground does not give you the right as a citizen to mete out justice. It says you can defend yourself from a threat where you are. It is not your responsibility to run from the threat. It's the threat's responsibility to stop being one. Right? Here's the next one I'd love to hear. But you're judge, jury, and executioner. Right? When you do that. Understand, there is a difference between justice and defense. Right? The fact that a person who is now posing a threat to you does that means that if I shoot them in the face, that's a consequence of them being stupid. It has nothing to do with meting out justice. I've used the appropriate force to stop the threat. That's what I did. So the fact that the person, whether it's, I don't care if it's under 18, I don't care. If they pose that kind of a threat to me, right, I will end them as a consequence for them being stupid. Now, justice is a result if they kill me or injure me and they happen to get caught, then they go into the judicial system, and whatever punishment results, if any, that's justice, right? If I defend myself and I use deadly force and I kill them, that is a consequence of their action, not mine. So let me leave you with this. Understand that today there are about 14 million concealed carry holders in the country, and that number will easily double in a few years. That's almost 30 million adults with concealed carry in various states. If you live in a state with stand your ground, and you are the type of personality that feels you can personally threaten someone, want to lay hands on someone to inflict damage, whether it's on a stranger or a or someone in your home, and I'm specifically talking to you men who believe that you can beat up your woman. If you believe, if you're that type of personality and you're in a stand your ground state with increasing numbers of concealed carry holders, your risk of being killed in the act of being stupid is really high. Really high. You don't have to believe it, and you know where you live. So if you're part of a culture, especially gang culture, and you move outside of that for some reason, and you go into the general population, and you try to exhibit that behavior, you need to understand the consequence to you. Your family needs to understand the consequence to you. And anyone who cares about you needs to understand the consequence to you. So this is just general information. Right? If you pose a threat that's where you have the ability, the opportunity, and you make it known that it's about to happen, and the other person shoots you and ends you, I don't want to hear, "You didn't have to shoot him. My baby, why couldn't you shoot him in the finger?" That ain't happening. So, to all you folks that don't like stand your ground, you don't like it because you know somebody who has that behavior and you don't want to see him dead and you want the law changed. You go to them and tell them how much you love them and you want to see them stick around, and they need to change their behavior. So, thanks for watching. Carry on.